Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Conspiracy Castle. I am your conspiracy asshole, Primetime 99 Alex Stein. And let's go, baby. We're going to unplug from the Matrix. We're doing a swap cast with Adam and Debra from Debra Gets Red Pilled. And with that, welcome to the show, Adam and Debra. Thank you guys for inviting me on your show, and thank you for letting me stream this on my channels as well. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man. That techno music was pretty epic. I just got back from a what I thought was a freedom-oriented camp out. It ended up being a freedom festival. So I figured out what the difference between a camp out and a festival is, and I was listening to I was being raped by trance music all weekend long. So
wow,
thanks for bringing that back up for me.
Listen, Adam and Debra, I'm telling you, I am clairvoyant because I never use that song as my intro. I never do. I usually use that song as my outro, but I just had it pulled up and I was like, oh, I'm going to do this techno thing because I don't know. I had some techno vibrations for some reason. And I knew that it would. I'm saying, but I knew it'd irk you. I didn't mean to irk you, Adam, but for some reason I could tell that music. It's a little irky jerky because I like all kinds of music. I usually like to start with reggae, but I was like, oh, I had this keyed up and I figured since I'm about to red pill, I'm about to go into Primetime 99 mode, Debra. I'm about to grind and shine. I'm about to tell you all these space facts. So I'm just saying, I needed to get the adrenaline pumping. So that's why I chose it.
We did like a 15-minute intro before we joined with you, and I told Debra that we were going to go on with, that we go on with a lot of guys that are jokers and like to mess around. But with this week, we're coming on with one of the most serious. Straight-laced, to the point conspiracy guys in the world, and so yeah, glad
you nailed it,
man.
I love it because now I can already tell you guys are sarcastic like me. But let me tell you something, Debra. Let me tell you something right now. We can joke around all we want, but I have to say this, and I do like to joke, but when you speak about something, it's not always like what you say, it's how you say it. So something you're passionate about, you can just tell. And something with the moon landing, I'm really passionate about the moon landing because what that does is the reason why they faked the moon landings was to make you feel like you are insignificant, to create this space lie, to literally... Skybird, my cat's going crazy. Can you hear the cat? Every time we start the show, the cat goes crazy. Sorry, it's hard to concentrate because I have 4 cats, Debra, so that shows you how crazy I am.
You have a cat named Skybird. That tells me a lot.
Yes, he's a special needs cat. I adopted him, and he is, listen to this, he has a card. He's a service animal. His last owner passed away. Yeah, so he's a cat with papers. But what I'm saying is literally the moon landing, the reason why they wanted you to feel like it reinforces the Big Bang Theory. What it does is it makes you feel like you are insignificant, just a piece of stardust that is here, and it's all a cosmic accident. When in reality, the chances of your parents, making love at that time and having you was like 1 in a million, and you getting here and being healthy and you being at this spot right here, just the chances of that is like winning the lottery every single day you're alive. You don't even put that in context. But the reason why is they want to make you the people in power. They want to steal your good vibrations and keep you in a state of fight or flight. And now you're like, what does that mean, fight or flight? What does it have to do with the moon landing? Well, basically, if you can keep people perpetually, self-doubting themselves and self-hating themselves and constantly depressed, those are the easiest people to control because when you're in fight or flight, you don't think the long term. You just think like 6 inches in front of your face. So that's the reason for a lot of the deception. But let me tell you something about the moon landing. In 1969 through 1972, they tell us that they went 6 Apollo missions successfully. 1 didn't go successfully, Apollo 13. They made a movie about it starring Tom Hanks. Don't even get me started. We'll get into that. But what I'm saying is, from 1969 to 1972, they tell you that we went to the moon 6 times. But today, we can't do it today. And on top of that, they deleted all the telemetry data that shows where they went on their journey through space, and all of the original footage is gone from NASA. So before we even dive into the rigmarole, the shadows, the atmosphere, how the spacesuits wouldn't have been able to handle that sort of, positive 200 degrees to negative 200 degrees instant change when you go from the sunlight to the shade. Just the sheer fact that we can't go today. And it's the only technology that we have that goes backwards because, Debra, I don't know how old you are. You're a very young lady, but I just remember you've probably seen a 1969 Cadillac, it looks different than a 2021 Cadillac. You know what I mean? There's a lot more technology. So that 1969 Cadillac, it didn't go backwards. You know, it didn't get less technological. And that's exactly what they tell you with the moon landing, is that we somehow went backwards.
GM could rebuild a 1969 Coupe de Ville if they wanted to.
And let me tell you this. This is I hate that. I don't even like to do shares, but I want to show you. Let me pull up this thing of Don Pettit. And this is him talking. This guy is the king of being an idiot. Don Pettit destroyed that technology. Let me just show you this video, and it's a painful process. Sorry, I'm speaking it out while I'm typing it. Let me show you this video of this guy, Don Pettit. Now this is the top of NASA. And usually I don't like to do a ton of shares when I do this, but for this presentation, this guy, it is important. Okay, let me screen share this, share. Go this. Okay, let me put you guys here. All right, now this guy is Don Pettit. He's one of the top astronauts in the space program. And what's crazy about him is I don't even know if he's, I think he's mildly autistic, but don't get me wrong, I'm not a doctor. But listen to them. This is how he explains. This is their honest NASA's explanation of why we can't go to the moon today. Okay.
I know that this guy, former astronaut Don Pettit, says that we don't currently have the technology to go to the moon anymore, let alone to Mars, because for some unknown reason we destroyed that technology.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But going to Mars should be one of the next series of steps that humans do. The first step should be going back to the moon for a number of technical reasons and
let me
exploration reasons.
Here, I want to hear him say it better. I think this is a shorter one. This is it, I think.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we...
This is a NASA astronaut. This is the top of the space program. This is the best of the best. I mean, I'm telling you, you and Adam, I'm talking about Adam and I, we could never be an astronaut. We would never, meet their protocols. I'm just saying, sadly, it doesn't matter if you have a college degree or something. I'm not even close to this guy's level. This is the smartest and the brightest and the greatest. And when you ask him what happened to that technology, his only answer, this is their official statement to that answer, is that we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back in. And then on top of that, while we're sharing,
destroyed that tech.
I want to, and we can pull up a bunch of stuff, but I want to show pictures of lunar lander. This is. Have you? What? Sorry, I'm pontificating too much, Adam.
I was just gonna get Debra's input and see what she thinks actually happened, if we went, what her thoughts on the whole ordeal are, because I don't even know.
Yeah, I know. What am I? I'm talking all this. I just get hyped up when you talk about space.
Hey, before we get into anything, Alex, can I ask you a question?
For sure. Come on.
Has Rachel Levine gotten back to you in the DMs yet?
Rachel Levine is a personal hero of mine. She's the bravest woman in the White House, and
she's a beautiful, beautiful woman, though.
The most beautiful. But did you see that Don Jr. Skybird? Let me grab my cat. Let me show you Skybird. Come here. Skybird.
Do you like Rachel Levine?
Yes, Rachel Levine is my favorite health professional. This is Skybird, Debra. Do you like
Skybird? Yes.
Are you into cats?
I've owned many cats. I own dogs right now, but
you can't hear them.
I'm a cat nut. Are you watching? Yes, because I sent you the link in the chat, Adam. We're live right now.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's all good. I'm trying to tell my wife how to come watch. So
I want her to watch it. Come on, we got over 70 people watching. Okay, but Debra, so I'm pontificating so much. I'm telling you, we didn't go. What is your opinion? And did you get to take the day off of school for the moon landing?
It was in the summertime.
Okay.
It was June 20th, June 19th, something like that. Anyway, I remember exactly where I was at that very moment. I was in Carmel with a girlfriend and her family. I was a sophomore in high school or a junior in high school, and watched it.
The first was July 16th. I want to look it up.
Okay.
July 16th.
There we go.
You're right there.
And I was like, okay. We went to the moon. Didn't really give it a whole lot of thought. It didn't knock my socks off because I was a self-absorbed teenager who didn't realize that this was a huge, or potentially a huge deal. And then I never thought about it again until this conspiracy stuff poked its little head up out of its little.
It's pretty
rabbit hole.
intense. Did you? So how you've done a lot of interviews? So tell me this. I mean, Adam, I was looking. I mean, are you fully red pill, Debra? I mean, are you like? Do you realize that we're living under an illusion of lies? I mean, how red pilled, Adam, would you say Debra is from all these interviews?
I'd say she's 75% there. She always
Well,
says,
open up.
I've got 1 foot in and 1 foot out, but she
I do
knows
say
she
that.
knows the real
But
truth.
but
she has
yeah.
1 foot out, because if she was all the way in, she wouldn't have any friends anymore, probably.
Well, that's true. That's what I talk about unplugging from the matrix, is we have to live in that middle ground of, in between reality and what we know is fake, because that not everybody's going to be awake to this, and there's different levels of it. Like, I get considered, they call me a baby truther because I guess I'm not. I don't think every shooting is a hoax or something like this. There's certain levels of even truth. So I guess you're considered a baby truther too, Debra, because you're, kind of in and out. But that's that's kind of how we all have to be, because like Adam says, to operate in a normal society, you can't be like, hey, 9/11 was an inside job. You start telling people that, automatically you're crazy. I tell people, the moon landing was fake. It's crazy. But what you're saying is, I want to make a point. You're talking about how you kind of just weren't that interested in it. That's actually what they say is Apollo 13 is people were complaining because it was going on, the moon landings, Apollo 12 was going on. People called, it was going on during the I Love Lucy show, and people were complaining. I swear, people complained. And that's why they said that Apollo 13, they made it, because it went 11, 12, and that's why they made it 13 to try to give it some more PR buzz. That, there's almost a mistake in space, because people, by the second mission, they didn't care. They lost interest.
You do. So, Debra, Alex does a show with David Weiss.
Yes,
David,
I'm a geocentrist. I'm a
David
not a
David did our show a long time ago. I think on episode 17.
Yeah, it was early on.
He gifted Debra his Sky Clock app, whatever it is,
Sun Moog, Sun and Zodiac. Terrible name, great app.
She had to stop watching it stop using it because it was working too well.
Yeah, it is. Well, see, Debra, that's another thing with the shape of the Earth. It's like that. You look at the space mission. Why? It's because they wanted to give you these pictures of the shape of the Earth. But even the pictures, this is why they say that they went there in the moon during the sunlight. But if you go out in any night and you measure the lumens from the moon in the moonlight, you can. What is it? The inverse square law of light. The brightness of lumens here, you would have to multiply it to what it would take. Like, let's say it's 10 lumens here. So the distance they give us, it's 237,000 miles is what they tell us. So for that amount of lumens to get here, we can do the inverse square law, because it keeps doubling. If you were standing on the moon, for how bright it gives us, it would have looked like you were on the sun because it's so bright. And the moon is a very important thing. That's why they call it the sky clock. How it works is the moon has 13 28-day cycles, a lot like a woman's menstrual cycle, because people think a woman has her menstrual cycle once a month. It's actually 13 times every 28 days roughly, if you're on time. So that aligns with the woman's ovulation schedule, which is very weird. I mean, that means there's something there. And so I kind of like to think of the sun as the wiener and the moon as the vagina, kind of deal like that. However, the yin and the yang, whatever you want to say, the boy and the girl. But the moon, just the moonlight, when you measure moonlight, and I'm sure David told you this, in the sunlight, it's warmer than if you go in the shade. So if you're in the sun and the sun's beating down on you, it's hot. You stand in the shade, you get some relief. Okay, now, if you are standing in the moonlight and then you go into the shade, the moonlight is colder than if you are in the shade. When you go into the shade, you're actually warmer. So the moonlight actually gives a cold heat. I mean, it makes you colder. And if you ever go to a fire near the beach at night, you'll see it. And moonlight will make the fire more combustible. So the sun, moon, and stars, that is a lot of NASA's deception. I mean, that's the motivation, is to tell you like I said, you're a cosmic accident that you just got here, to the Big Bang. Everything comes from nothing. But that same mathematical formation of the universe being created is the same mathematical formation of a tornado going through a junkyard and creating a 747 airplane on the other side. It's impossible. It's literally impossible. So I'm not some religious guy at all, but there has to be a creator, multiple creators, a God, Satan, I don't know, but I know there's something to this. Then everything comes from nothing. And NASA in Hebrew, and I'm not some like anti-Hebrew guys, something like that, actually means to deceive. And
Is that right?
Yes. And listen, well, they say, the proper is Nashah because it has like an asterisk over the S in Hebrew or something. But NASA and Nashah, give me a break. It's spelled the same. It just has a thing. It's very close, okay? The symbology is right there.
What do we know, Deborah? Who invented, she knows this. Let's see if she remembers. Who invented the Big Bang Theory? It's not just your favorite show. You know the answer.
Rome, Italy. Is the hint.
It's what's inside of Rome? A little hole.
The Vatican. Jesuit priest created the Big Bang Theory, and he was just doing. He was just supposedly he was just speaking extemporaneously during a sermon, and they were like, "Oh, whoa, we really like that theory." Like he was. That's just the story. I don't know if that's true. I mean, those old stories. Whoa, this is what the Werner von Braun. NASA, what we're saying, to deceive. Now, there's a declassified thing called Operation Paperclip, Deborah. Now, this is one of the most important things. Operation Paperclip is we brought all of the top rocket scientists and military specialists because we got the OSS, the Nazis, literally all the top Nazis of the OSS, which is, their, Operations of Secret Services or whatever. I forget what it stands for. But, we used all their blueprints, but the main guy was a guy named Werner von Braun. Now, before I even get into Werner von Braun, now when we think about like World War II, I don't even want to get into World War II, but the story that they tell us is, Joseph Mengele was this horrible doctor and, he's supposed to, ran away and they never, caught him. But he did horrible things. Mengele's horrible.
That's
we know that.
He's the angel of death, right?
Yeah.
Angel of death.
Yeah.
He's a horrible doctor.
Weird surgeries.
He would get twins and try to see if he could, put their hand on the other twin's hand and do all these kind of weird experiments.
Slayer wrote a song about him.
And that, like, I do believe that he was doing weird stuff because they had a big eugenics program. So I know Joseph Mengele is a bad guy. What I'm saying is Werner von Braun was the top rocket scientist, and he created all these rockets they used to decimate Poland during World War II. And he became, what he did is we brought him over in Operation Paperclip, and he started the rocket program for NASA. And not only that, he became best friends with a guy named Walt Disney. So let me show you this. Let me show you Walt Disney. I'm not going to do so many screen shares, but Walt Disney and Werner von Braun. Let me show you this. Let me show you this guy. Okay, so this is him. Let me do screen share. Okay, look at this. This is Werner von Braun and Walt Disney right here. And Werner von Braun we talked about it. Everybody knew that he was part of Operation Paperclip. They just said, "Oh, well, he's such a good scientist. We need Werner von Braun." And let me tell you a little bit more about Werner von Braun. So we'll go to let's go Werner von Braun. Let's go to his Wikipedia real quick. Because I want to show you what's on his tombstone. Look, NASA, I'm just saying that you look at the top thing, the NASA has his biography. They loved him. NASA, he's the king of the Apollo mission. So let's go to Werner von Braun real quick.
Yeah. It's so crazy. He lived in Huntsville, Alabama, right?
They all live in, that's where the space mafia is. They're all based out of Alabama.
And he got rid of his accent and just sounded pretty normal, and it's weird.
He fit right in. Okay, but let's read this. Was a German-born American aerospace engineer and space architect. He was a leading figure in the development of rocket technology in Nazi Germany and the pioneer of rocket and space technology in the United States. Now you have David Weiss on. So Werner von Braun. Let me show you this guy. Werner von Braun tombstone. On his tombstone, supposedly before Werner von Braun died, he said that there's going to be a fake alien attack. There's going to be all this strife. There's going to be Muslim terrorism. He predicted a lot of the stuff that's going to happen. But this is his tombstone. Now on his tombstone, This is all it says. He's got the Apollo missions. He's got the Saturn 9 rocket, and he's got the Psalm 19:1. You see that? Now let's read Psalm 19:1. Psalm 19:1. And this, what does Psalm 19:1? The heavens are telling of the glory of God, and their expanse is declaring the work of his hands, the magnificence. Oh, well, this isn't the right here. Let me read you the right Bible verse. Where is it? Of course, it's giving me, I got to go to the King James version. It's giving me all these boo-boo versions. Hold on, message of Psalm. Why does it not say the firmament? Why does it give me King James version? Here we go. Okay. And this is it, the King James Bible. This is it. To the chief musician, a psalm of David, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. So, I mean, now it starts saying firmament everywhere. So, you know, he was kind of giving us, I believe, when he died, he was giving us a clue of, you know, through, you know, God created the universe. This is his last message. And that there is some sort of firmament that we can't breakthrough. And now I know that sounds crazy because I'm just, you know, showing you guys tombstone, and I'm taking a lot of speculation, rumor, and innuendo. But this is a Conspiracy Castle on Primetime 99, Alex Stein. We're going to do a lot of, you know, rumor and innuendo. But that doesn't change the fact. One of the biggest things about the moon landing for me is there's a guy named Dave McGowen, and he wrote a book called Wagging the Moon Doggy.
She read Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon. Or
yes,
she says she read it. She listened to it on.
I
tape.
listened to.
Yeah,
it
listen
on
to tape. Okay, but I don't know. Did Dave voice that book? Did he read it, or did somebody else read that book? Because Dave has a great voice. He sounds like a California cool guy.
I don't think he did read
He
it.
probably didn't read it, but yeah, I listen to books on Audible all the time.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it.
Cheating.
It is cheating, but then I buy the book. If I like it, I'll buy the book so I can look back at it. So, you know, it's whatever. And I'm lazy, not so lazy, but I like to listen to it when I'm like going to bed or walking.
Or walking around
that's what I'm
doing
saying.
your thing. Yeah. All right. So what did he say about it?
Well, who was I just talking about? Well, that's my train of thought.
Dave McGowan.
Oh, yes, Dave McGowan, Wagging the Moon Doggy, because I was like, oh, I got to make a point. So one of the biggest things about Dave McGowan and the Apollo missions, I believe it was Apollo 15, they even tell you this, that they brought well, I don't even need to pull it up. I'll just tell you, but they snuck a golf club up there. So have you ever seen the pictures? There's pictures of them with a golf club on the moon and driving a moon buggy, you know,
a moon buggy that was like bigger than the
lunar lander
that they went there with. Yeah.
So that is absurd. But what I'm saying is, this is what they tell you. These suits that they were never able, the spacesuits that they wore.
They look they're made out of the Jiffy Pop popcorn. The old ones that you hold over that you burn every time.
Well, what they were designed is like if you were like you know, a pilot and you were going outside of an airplane really high up. You know, that's kind of what the original designs of those suits were. They're not space ready, or this. I mean, they tell you they're space ready, but they're not. But this is the exact thing. The glove mechanism, these suits, when you go to the moon, this is what the official story is, that in the sunlight, I said earlier, it's 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And then you go in the shade and it's instantly negative 200 degrees. There's a 400 different degree variation. So supposedly these astronauts were going in and out of the shade in a suit that they could never test on Earth. And on top of that, multiple astronauts had hand injuries because the hand mechanisms of the suits weren't functionable. So if they can't get the hand mechanism right, and multiple astronauts had hand injuries, and this is a fact, you can look this up, I can pull this up, and it's two main astronauts when they came back from the mission, so much from the filming of it, they had scars on their hands from these gloves that they didn't have in pictures before or whatever, you know, the timeline. If they can't, their official story is, oh, well, you know, their hands are different shapes than theirs, and, you know, the suit was one size fit all. And a matter of fact, they said that they had to redesign the suit recently because they didn't have a size for women. They didn't have it for women. But if they have these incredible technology that we can't even recreate, the best technology in the world, the best spacesuits ever, that just go negative 200 degrees, anti-gravity, I mean, can breathe in it, all this technology, but they can't even get the thumb part to work. You're insane. That's a lie. Those suits were costumes that were created by costume designers. Now, I know there are NASA costume designers or whatever, but you look at a guy like Stanley Kubrick. Now we're getting kind of in the woods, but Stanley Kubrick's one of the best directors ever. And in The Shining, if you look at The Shining, the Apollo symbolism in The Shining, one of the biggest things is he has so much tang in there. And then you'll look at, the kid in The Shining, he's wearing an Apollo 11 sweater. And then you look at the patterns on the ground. There's so much NASA symbology in that. It's what they say is you need to watch that movie and look at it with a discerning eye. And it's actually his revelation of the method that he was involved with the faking of the moon landings. And then on top of that, he also died under weird circumstances right after the movie Eyes Wide Shut with Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise. That was about secret societies that go and wear masks and have sex parties and do all kinds of occultic rituals. So, see, I don't know that scene that well. I mean, I know a little bit about satanic ritual abuse from, reading and this and that, but Stanley Kubrick knows a lot about it. So they say birds of a feather flock together. You just look at his career. He was a guy that was in the know. And I always say this, truth in the movies, lies in the news. So, there's a lot to dissect, but what do you think about Stanley Kubrick, Deborah?
Honestly, I don't think that much about him. I watched the movie and there's a documentary called Room 237?
Yeah.
About The Shining and some of the symbolism in there and whatnot. I don't recall it being about any of the space flights per se. I can't say that I watched it that closely.
Well, the kids wearing the Apollo 11 sweater and the tang. Did they not talk about that? Did they?
I'm
bring
sure
that
they
up?
did. I'm sure they did.
There was some real long stuff on YouTube a while back that I watched. My friend, who's a Tartarian researcher, Lunatic Dolphin from the Golden Gate Starfort Command, he recommended it to me a long time ago, and it was at the point in my life where I wasn't quite there yet, and I tried watching it. I was like, oh, this is crazy, but
that's probably the frame of mind that I was in.
When I lived in San Francisco at that Jewish museum they have down on Market Street, they had like the Stanley Kubrick exhibit. It was awesome. I saw little Danny's sweater. I saw the two twins, the elevator twins dress. Yeah. I saw the axe that Jack
Stanley Kubrick's a badass, dude. He's one of the biggest there ever was. And Deborah, there's pictures of Stanley Kubrick with all the NASA engineers, with Werner von Braun on the lots of NASA.
And they had the spacesuit from Space Odyssey too there.
Exactly, and Dave McGowen will tell you they had this a film studio in the Hollywood Hills. I think it was like Lookout Studio where they filmed a lot of the stuff, and that's supposedly where they filmed the moon landing was supposedly at that Lookout Studio. And this is, I don't know if you're a big Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, but they say in the song, space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. And you're like, that's just some rock band saying that. But it's like one of the most famous lines from one of their most famous songs. And I think when people get to that powerful, they even admitted, like Cardi B, they get paid, these rappers get paid to drop, I shop at fashionista.com or whatever, to put brands and stuff in music. So since the beginning of time, Tavistock Institute with the Beatles and stuff, they've been using music to socially engineer us. So I just think when a band tells us something like that, I know it sounds crazy, but it takes a little crazy to live in this world. I mean, this world, the story they tell us of our creation is crazy, and you believe that. So you got to be crazy just to survive, but space may be the final frontier, but I do believe it's made in a Hollywood basement.
So have you ever heard of the comic books called from Paranoid American?
Yeah, I've seen them on. I've been following it, Paranoid American.
There's this guy Thomas does it. He's awesome. He came on our show a long time ago and talked about MK Ultra, but he sent me this little postcard thingy. So that's Walt Disney. That's Hans Haber. This guy right here. This is Werner von Braun.
Wow. So he knows. I need to look into his stuff. He's doing a lot of. Well, and Debra, we can't even talk about any medical stuff. I get all these strikes for medical misinformation, but what I'm saying is Adam and Debra, now is conspiracy, I hate to say it like this because I have a show and I didn't do it just because it's hot, but conspiracies are hot because people are waking up that the government doesn't necessarily have our best interests. And what the government does is they take away your freedom under the guise of safety, under the impression that they're going to keep you safe. And that's a lot like the Patriot Act, after 9/11. So I believe 9/11 was a false flag attack that was conducted by people within our own government and the government of Israel in order to start a never-ending war in the Middle East. So I'm just saying, we live under a government that will do whatever they can. They use the terror attacks on 9/11 to put in the Patriot Act, which gives you warrantless search and seizures of your phone that they never repealed. So now the government, basically with what's happening now, is they realize they can put a lockdown in like this. They can control us. They can use this for the future. So this was a test run. And what I believe is what's going to happen, without saying too much stuff, is there's going to be a grand opening very soon. And like the rap songs, I keep on talking about songs. Kanye West has a song where he goes, grand opening, grand closing. They're going to do that. I have a feeling there's going to be a big grand opening. It's going to be a short, fun thing. And then whatever variant is going to come close us down. But why I'm talking about all that is that should be a good sign of our government is a bunch of idiots. So that's why they have to fake all this stuff. And they're not even good at faking it. They're literally like, and I don't even think Trump's good, even though I liked him better than Biden. I'm saying Trump's an idiot. They're all idiots. Anybody that's a politician and that's what they do for a living is bought and sold by multinational corporations. So they don't have our best interest. Nabisco Cookies doesn't care about us. They just want to be able to sell us glyphosate or whatever, glyphosate, and put them in our food. That'll probably give us cancer and, keep the medical industry busy. I'm just saying we live in and you get red pilled. I get it so hyped up. I hate to say that the social engineers have built a system against us and that unfortunately the moon landing is just a small part of that. But it's also a big part of it because it's, it's the space lie. It's it's a fundamental lie. So it's one of those pillar lies. But on top of that, there's so many pressing things right in our face that are being lied about, Deborah. It's awesome seeing a show where you're waking other people up by, vis-a-vis waking yourself up.
Do you think Richard Nixon called the moon on a landline?
Okay, yes. So then we got to talk about that, Deborah. We can pull that up. Have you seen that footage of Nixon talking to the astronauts on?
I probably have, but once again, I was a self-absorbed teenager. It didn't.
Well, I've seen it, and I wasn't alive.
Let's see. Yeah, but Nixon calling the moon. We got to see this because this is really the most ridiculous. Well, let's see if there's a good one.
And so, Deborah, do you know what the that psalm that we just looked up? Do you know what the firmament means? Do you know what that is?
Well, I used to think it was the ground.
It's
the firm ground, but it's
okay.
the dome.
This is what they say. This is what they
You go, Alex. You talk.
Okay, so this guy, I know, Adam, I'm stepping on you. I'm talking so much.
No. It's your show, man.
This is what they say is that this is what they tell us, that we live in a pressurized system, right? That's just what the mainstream is a pressurized system. Well, you can't have a pressurized system next to the vacuum of space. You can't have gas pressure next to a vacuum without a physical barrier. So what is that physical barrier? I believe it to be the firmament. Now, is it plastic? No. I think it's some sort of, liquid, some sort of material, but that firmament is actually what holds the sun, moon, and stars in place. And you're like, Alex, what gives you that impression? Now, you got to look at a thing called the lunar wave. And if you actually look at these stars, not just the NASA graphic depictions, but if you actually look at them, the moon, sometimes you can see through a telescope, you can see what is called the phenomenon called the lunar wave, where through it literally looks like a water wave is going down the moon, and there's no other explanation than maybe the thing's in liquid. Now, the firmament is this idea that it's what holds the entire Earth in. It's what holds our pressure in, and what holds our, lack of a better word, atmosphere in. It keeps our gases and pressure from, just easing out into the ether. So that's why the firmament's so important, because that in the heliocentric model, there is no firmament, but in the geocentric model, it is like what holds the sun, moon, and stars, and that's how they're able, they rotate within the firmament, and that's what holds the sun, moon, and stars. Because you had the app. For me, I know that's such a crazy leap, but The machinations of the universe is that they tell us that we're on a ball spinning 1,100 miles around the equator while orbiting the sun 66,600 miles an hour, while moving in full concert through the Milky Way galaxy at 4.4 million miles an hour, while every single night you can go out and see Polaris, the North Star, is in the same spot. And on top of that, you can track the Big Dipper and Little Dipper literally doing a circle around the Polaris, the North Star. So you ask yourself, what does it have to do with the moon landing? Well, that's what they wanted. They wanted to get photos from the moon so they could say, hey, we live on a ball, because they don't want you to think that you're some sort of special creature and that there is an edge to this earth, because they want to keep you contained on this spinning, ever-moving cosmic accident. I know that sounds crazy. Even when I say it now, I'm like, why, Alex? You're a nut job for saying it. But when you really think about, they fear us. They don't want us to tap into how much power we have. The people that rule us, they realize, like, even after January 6th or whatever, we could take over. There's way more cops. So my hair is kind of messed up. Sorry. There's way more cops. There's way more people than there are cops. And they know that. There's way more people than there are even military. So they have to keep us in this constant state of fight or flight. And so they can control us.
There's way more guns than people.
Exactly. I mean, there's like 11 guns per person or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe even more than that. I don't know.
Yeah. So do you think that when he's talking about the firmament, that it translates to the Van Allen radiation belt?
Well, that's another thing. Gosh, Adam, you're woke. So they tell us that the 1969 to 1972 Apollo missions, they were able to go through the Van Allen radiation belt, and twice on each mission, because they'd go in, out. So this was a cosmic radiation that would supposed to give you like instant cancer. It'd be instant death. And how they described the technology, they just said that they went through it really fast, and then they went through a part of it that was really thin. That's their description. It's just like when you ask them what happened to the technology, and they tell you that, we lost the telemetry data, and it's a painful process to build it back up.
Yeah, and all the tapes got taped over. They just
Can we go back to that? Who just goes, okay, you lost all the technology. Okay.
Yeah, it's like when you're little and you got like
the dog ate my homework.
I had a bunch of Charles in Charge, episodes taped. I come home and my dad's taped over them with the A's game,
It's a pain in the ass, and that's what they tell you. They said the tapes were so expensive that they taped over them, but it's absurd. I mean, we have the Constitution. We didn't lose that. I mean, that's one of the most important things ever. You'd think this is literally man's first moon mission on another terrestrial body in the sky. We're on the moon. We should have kept all that stuff in a museum. We should have the moon museum where every inch of it you can touch and feel and look at. But no, they lost it all on accident, and they taped over it, and I don't know what to do with it. We just kind of fudged up. I'm sorry, don't worry about it. And that's where it really gets me, is the no clear answer. Just don't worry about it. Don Pettit, don't worry about it. And now they're going to the Mars with the Mars lander. That is absolutely absurd, Deborah. Have you looked at that footage?
Well, I've seen what they've had just on news. I haven't.
Okay, well, let me tell you something. It's just when we look at Mars, you know how far away Mars is? Let me tell you the difference. The stars that they tell you in the sky are actually, they describe trillions of miles away, trillions of light years, actually. The idea of the difference between a trillion and a billion, do you know? Do you know, Deborah?
Is a billion?
Okay, a billion in time. Do you know how long is a billion seconds?
I have no idea.
33 years.
Yes. Okay. So how long is a trillion seconds?
99 years.
Roughly 33,000 years. So a trillion is 1,000 billion. So it's a billion times 1,000.
And a million seconds is like 11 days, right?
It's like 2 weeks. Yeah, it's like 2 weeks. Yeah, you know it. So what I'm just saying is they tell us that these things are trillions of miles away, yet they're in the same spot, and we can track their distance every single night. It's just all space nonsense. I mean, they have to create a lie, a fairy tale, in order to fill the dots. But even Rob Simmons, the head guy at NASA and the main picture of NASA, he even tells you that it is photoshopped. And he goes, but it has to be, because the way the camera takes pictures, they have to put the pictures together. Then he has to add some clouds. So they even tell us the pictures of Earth are photoshopped. It's really sad. The space lie has. Debra, I'm really happy that you're awake to this because I've had a lot of people on my show that are really stuck on space and stuck on the Apollo programs because I hate to call it the boomer generation because my dad's a boomer. My mom's not exactly a boomer. My dad is. So I'm not anti-boomers, but they're so wired into the space theory because the indoctrination was so hardcore when you were young because they pushed space so hard. So it's extra hard talking to somebody and say, hey, Neil Armstrong did not walk on the moon. People do not like to hear it because it shatters their illusion that they lived in, especially in a time of their life when it was really good. Everybody probably was, I imagine.
The space race, yeah. The space race.
What was it like? What was the vibes like even though I know you said you weren't that involved in space, but like what was the space race like from what you can remember?
Oh, there were songs like Telstar, and cartoons like
Sing us
Jetsons.
a little bit of Telstar.
Yeah, let's
da, 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 da.
And it's about the moon landing?
It's just an instrumental song called Telstar.
Who performed it? Chicago?
No, it was way before them. Thank you kindly.
I didn't even ask. Wait, Adam. So where are you? Are you in California? Because I heard you say Oakland. Where are you?
I am in. My family's from Oakland. Spent a lot of years there, and about 3 years ago, my wife and I escaped California. Unfortunately, we escaped to Portland, Oregon. So.
Oh, dude, Portlandia is one of my favorite shows. I love that.
We're about 3 miles over the border in a little working class suburb called Milwaukee, but it's about 12 minutes for me to get down to the federal courthouse where they riot every night.
Yeah, but it's funny. Portland is like 95% white, but it's just funny. Okay, and then Debra, where are you right now? I'm in Dallas. If you didn't know,
I'm in California. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, north of San Francisco, across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Well, one of my buddies, one of the best flat earthers, Jaron, he lives in Northern California, not too far from you. But you're saying Telstar. Somebody said they like that song in the chat. What was it? They said they like Telstar by the Tornadoes, 1962 is the song.
Okay,
that's the song.
There you go.
Yeah, they like that song.
Good. I'm glad they recognized it.
You know what my first experience with NASA was, Alex?
I'd love to hear it.
I'm in kindergarten in Portland, Oregon. I grew up here before I moved to California. And they I'm an older guy than you. They wheeled in the TVs. They had these big, tall, like rolling stands.
We had those TVs. That was the best, Adam. When they had that that TV on rolls, if that came in your room, it was game over. Those are the best school days.
When it's a substitute, they tell two kids to go to the AV room and get the TV. That's the best. That
was the best, yes.
But I think it's like 1985 or something. I'm sitting in kindergarten. They wheel in the TV and they show us the Challenger flight. They show us a snuff film when I'm in kindergarten of a space shuttle exploding.
Oh no!
Yeah.
In kindergarten? In kindergarten? Because you're not that
old.
older than me. I mean, I was born in '86. I was born on it right when it happened. But I'm telling you, you were in your kindergarten class. They were making you watch that.
You must have
we watched
wrecked. Were you wrecked?
I don't think it really translated for us.
Oh
you probably thought it was just like a movie. You didn't even know. Well, that's what like with 9/11.
It was my second time doing kindergarten, so I was a little bit more advanced than the other kids. So there's pre-K, you were in post-K? Is that what it was? I did kindergarten twice.
That's not a big deal, right? I had a buddy that for athletic reasons, his dad made him do second grade twice.
That's a Texas thing, huh?
Yes, it did. He was a pretty good athlete. He was a good wrestler. He did benefit him. But his dad held him back literally just for sports. That actually happens a lot. In Texas.
It was not for sports. I'm 5'7", pretty white, so I didn't go very far as sports go.
Yeah, well, you could have been a jockey maybe. Horse racing, but no. But tell me this though. So Portlandia, did you ever watch that show? Portland is kind of like Portlandia though, right? Because isn't it keep Portland weird, extra weird?
Portland would be better if it was more like Portland. It's like Portlandia if you like mix in hitting people in the face with a bike lock, and all the funny people that they make fun of are packing guns. Like everybody, like they make fun of Antifa as being like soy boys and stuff, which they all are. But like nowadays, everybody down there is fucking packing a gun. It's crazy.
No, it's downtown is like that. Everybody's got to get. I mean,
like everybody that's down there protesting, all that Black Bloc, all those guys, all the Antifa dudes are all well armed now.
Wow.
So it's like these patriot groups think they're like gonna go. Oh, it's like I'll go down there with my rifle, and you know, it's like no, it's all the same. They're all open carrying. They like AK-47s over the AR-15 though, because they're the commie assault rifle.
Oh yeah, they want to be like Karl Marx. They want the socialist weapon. Good for them.
The AK-47 was, the last really impressive thing that the commies produced. So
I just can't believe it.
I'm a fan of it. See, I got it right here actually.
Wow, you got it on there.
Yeah.
That's the Kalashnikov. The AK is the.
Yeah.
Is that yes? Wow. So if I was in Portland, I don't have an AK-47. But if I was in Portland, maybe I would need a AK-47.
Yeah.
Where you're in Texas, right?
I'm in Dallas, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm in a nice little suburb, University Park. I live in. I'm in the car business. I sell cheap used cars. I'm really in the wholesale business. I buy anybody's
I would have never
car.
guessed that you were a car salesman, dude.
I know, it's freaking terrible. Everybody can guess I'm a car salesman, but it sucks. That's why I'm going to be the king of all conspiracy, Debra. Right now, I'm small, but one day I'm going to be primetime 99. I will be bigger than Alex Jones, even though I like Alex Jones. I'm just saying.
You're huge, man. We got 200 people watching right now.
Yeah, and that's just on YouTube. That's not including D Live. Total, we got way more than that. Total, we got.
Oh my God! Had I known, I would have
How's the quest for donuts going?
Oh yes, it's free. I'm getting all my free donuts because I love the CDC. That's another thing. The government has our health in mind when they give you free donuts for getting your Pfizer and Pfizer. I'm just telling you though, America on the cups at McDonald's are now giving health advice. This is true. This is what they're saying.
They have where you can go to go get your shot.
And just think about that.
Places.
Just think about that. McDonald's is now the leader in our health information delivery system. The same people that sells not Whoppers, but Big Macs and Chicken McNuggets. And I love McDonald's. I stopped eating meat, so I can only have their French fries now, unfortunately. But I'm just saying, everybody loves. Even if you hate McDonald's, at one point in your life you liked McDonald's. So they're literally mocking us, laughing at us. I believe that people in power are like, oh, here, let's give them their health advice on a McDonald's cup because they're so fat and stupid. And this is another point that I always bring up, and people are like, oh, I've heard this story 1,000 times. But A&W tried to get in, when they got in the hamburger business, they did a national survey where they wanted to compete with McDonald's Quarter Pounder burger. And so what they did is they did a national survey, and they taste tested, and they had people see if they thought the third-pound burger. They asked people the simple question: which burger they thought was bigger, and they had a picture of the third-pound burger, said 1/3, and then the quarter-pounder burger, it said 1/4. And the majority of Americans thought the 1/4 burger was bigger because they saw 1/4 instead of 1/3. So we're dealing with people that are very imbecilic, not smart, are not working with a full deck of cards. They don't have all the cards in their deck. They only have 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s. They don't have any kings or queens. So we're working with some people that really can't. I'm not saying that I'm smart. I'm missing some cards in my deck. Don't get me wrong. But I can figure some of this out because it's so blatant. And sadly, these people that are like worshiping, the lockdowns, or worshiping, Fauci, or worshiping the control mechanisms that are ruining our life, those are the most brainwashed people. And those are the perfect example of how easy it is to MK Ultra the masses, and how trauma-based mind control is a form of manipulation that the government has and always will use.
Yeah. You want to hear a funny story, Alex?
Please.
That my wife told. So for your listeners that don't know my show yet, please listen, guys. But Debra is my mother-in-law. I'm married to her daughter. So her daughter told me that back in her days of eating Happy Meals, she would always order the chicken McNuggets,
No.
and to make them healthier, Debra would tear off the fried
part.
breading.
Everybody did that. Deborah, you would do that? You're a monster, Deborah. I know other kids' moms would do that, but you know why Deborah did that? Deborah's a liar, Adam. Let me tell you why Deborah would do that.
She wanted to eat it
eat the
herself.
fried part. Deborah, everybody knows.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
'Cause I wouldn't order McDonald's.
Yes.
My children, before they were born, I swore no McDonald's. My children will never eat McDonald's, and if they're girls, they will never play with Barbie dolls. Well, famous last words, because my children were raised on McDonald's and they had Barbies coming out of their
rear ends.
Yep. But yes, I wouldn't order a meal for myself because I don't eat McDonald's, but I will peel off the crust and save my children from it by eating it myself.
No, let me tell you, this is even worse. My story's worse, Deborah. And right now, I'm about to get back on my fitness life because I've gained about 20 pounds since I started broadcasting. But I have a terrible issue with eating where I eat really fast because as a kid, my dad would always go to restaurants and always order like the kids' meal for me and never order anything, and he would eat off my plate. So as a kid, I would have to eat my food really fast at restaurants. So now I'm just like a dog. If I see my food, I'm like have this intuition, oh shoot, my dad's gonna take it off my plate. Where I'm still, so I eat so fast, or I eat where I overeat. So my dad, it's hard as a parent controlling your kid's diet, because I'm telling you, my dad even apologized. He's like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have eaten off your plate, because not only do I eat really fast, I have bad manners because I'm always like, I'm so aggressive with my fork and knife. He ruined me to have good manners, unfortunately, Deborah.
Well,
so don't feel bad.
You could always get him back by learning good manners now.
Well, exactly, and I can use those good manners. I just, around him, I will never use them out of pure disrespect. I have my elbows on the table. We go to the buffet, and I'm a mess. I have kung pao, everything, just falling off my plate. I have noodles everywhere. I'm an absolute mess because I have to punk my dad a little bit. And did you do that, Deborah? Did you ever kind of purposely embarrass your daughter as a kid? Because
I threatened that I would a lot, and I probably did. Their greatest fear was if they messed up in the grocery store, I said I would start dancing down the aisle and singing out loud, and they would just straighten up and fly right.
How do you mess up at the grocery store? You just ask for stuff too many times?
Yeah, or just whine, or, I'm bored, or can't we get more of these orange
It didn't work because
thingies?
Your daughter is pretty whiny sometimes.
Yeah, she saved it for you.
She's sitting right back there, and she doesn't have a very happy look on her face.
What? So now we're causing family drama and those McDonald's nuggets. Those are, can you believe it? We're still talking about those nuggets today. Those nuggets, whatever was in them, they got us with the trauma-based mind control. And I bet if you would have looked at the cup back then as a mom, you might have been, hey, I can go get my daughter a shot in her arm. Maybe I'll listen to this McDonald's cup.
Yeah.
How absurd is society right now? But I'd like to ask a little bit back to talking about the space program, because we can talk about it all day long. But really, I want to talk about the Dave McGowen part of it.
We lost some listeners. Watchers.
No, people like the Dave the NASA stuff. But tell me this. So when you listen to that book, all that Hollywood stuff, I freaking love the esoteric Hollywood, and I believe like the CIA created by NASA. That is 100%. I believe everything that Dave McGowen said in that book. Like, you can tell me, you can argue me with a lot of conspiracies, but the epicenter of cool, Jim Morrison's dad was a U-boat gun captain in the Gulf of Tonkin that started the false flag. Or it was a false flag attack that started the Vietnam War. Like, all the connections to that little area of Laurel Canyon and how it socially geoengineered the world.
That wrecked me. That wrecked me because I grew up idolizing all those musicians. I wanted,
I mean, separate it, Deborah. It's good, still good music. Emily and I, on our way up to go camping this weekend, we're listening to her Spotify channel for sounds from the canyon.
I still love the
it's
music.
amazing.
It's
so
awesome
good.
music. However, reading or listening, as Adam would correct me, they, according to Dave McGowen, they didn't even write a lot of their own music, and they didn't even play a lot of their own music. So
Well,
that was
I don't
was
think Jim
a little,
Morrison played anything.
No, he sang, but like Crosby, Stills, and Nash, he used them frequently as examples that they didn't know how to play their instruments. I think David Crosby did because he had been in previous bands, but they had to teach them to play their instruments, and they weren't responsible for anything.
This, like what you're doing right now, Deborah, is making me really, really proud. Like, you actually have done research, you know about some stuff finally, and you're telling it to two guys that are into conspiracies. Like, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I mean, I figured David Crosby was a good musician, but let me tell you something. Tavistock
Thank you,
Institute.
Adam.
Yeah, you nailed it, Deborah. Good, you're A+ today on your grade. But the Tavistock Institute out of the UK, I mean, that's where they created a lot of. They know what frequencies our ears enjoy. You know, they tested us like lab rats. So that is basically where the epicenter of cool music, I think, still comes from today. That's why they know when they write a Miley Cyrus song or something, how they know her album out of 13 songs is going to have like 5 #1 hits on it. So they had that technology then, is what I think, to create the same sort of hit music.
Can we get into Buzz Aldrin? That guy's wild.
Buzz Aldrin is the worst. I mean, you know, they literally buzzed all the time. You know, he's a horrible alcoholic. He is, you know, if you look at him, and I believe those guys there. This is what happens with the astronauts. Like, I think they started off great, but the saddest part about Buzz Aldrin is that he still went on the moon mission, and his mother had committed suicide right before he went on the Apollo missions. You probably didn't know that, Deborah, but
No.
yes, and they kept that quiet. They actually lied and said that she had a heart attack, but then later in his in his biography, he said that she killed herself, and he still went to the moon. Now, there's a guy. Now, this is the guy we really got to look at, is Gus Grissom. Now, Gus Grissom was the original Apollo leader. He was the original Neil Armstrong. He was the guy that was going to be the captain of the first moon mission. What happened to Gus Grissom is, this is so sad. He was very upset with the NASA and how it was going, because he was really hands-on with the development of the rockets, and Gus Grissom knew, or he didn't think that we could go to the moon, even though he was the head astronaut. And what he did was, he was so mad with the engineers, he went and hung a lemon. He got a coat hanger, put a coat hanger through a lemon, put that coat hanger and hung it on the lunar lander, at a press conference, and talked about how he did not think NASA was going to be able to go to the moon. He said this in a press conference. And then the next mission after that, they were testing the rockets, and in a test, the rocket blew up, and he, with the other 2 astronauts in the test mission, instantly died. They got cooked. They got cooked. And the words he said right before he died, let me show you this. I want to play this clip. This is his last words, Gus Grissom's last words. This is really sad. Okay, let's see. Let me find a short one. Hold on. Gus Grissom. I'm looking up right now. Okay, Gus Grissom. And Gus Grissom's family, the guy we're talking about, is they believe that he was purposely killed. Gus Grissom's last word to NASA. Let me go to by upload date. Sorry, I gotta. But even his family, Gus Grissom's family, says that he was it was. Let's see if this is
disturbing voice record.
Okay, here. Let me get a screen share. Screen share. This. Okay. And this is the Apollo.
Disturbing voice recording. Go on a mission to the moon at Cape.
Oh shit.
On the eve of the day, they were expected to go on
Let's
a
just watch it from the beginning.
Apollo 1 disturbing voice recordings are that of 3 American astronauts who lost their lives before their mission to the moon after a fire erupted inside the spacecraft during test sessions. Apollo 1 planned mission to the moon took a terrible twist of fate on January 26, 1967, a day to forget in America's space history. The tragedy occurred at the launch pad situated at the Cape Kennedy Space Center at Cape Canaveral, Florida. On the eve of the day, they were expected to go on a mission to the moon during practice sessions and test of the spacecraft. It was speculated an open wire ignited after one of the astronauts had adjusted his seat, causing fire to set off inside the command capsule. Here is a disturbing voice recording of the event.
Did you hear what he said? He said, how are we going to get to the moon if we can't talk between 2 or 3 buildings? I'll play that again. Listen closely. That's Gus Grissom's voice. Listen to that closely.
How are we going to get to the moon if we can't talk between 2 or 3 buildings?
He's from Houston. That's his detect. How are we going to get to the moon if we can't talk between 2 or 3 buildings?
Recording of the event.
How are we going to get to the moon if we can't talk between 2 or 3 buildings? Hey, crew, can you egress at this time? Confirm it. Band leader, get in there and help him. Band leader, CFC3.
So that scream was the last. That scream was their last moments on Earth. And
That's
if you,
chilling, man. That's horrible.
yeah, that's really, really scary. And if you look into Gus Grissom's family, they believe that he was purposely murdered because he was speaking out against the Apollo mission. And the guy that said, how can we go to the moon if we can't talk between 2 or 3 buildings, was the guy that hung the lemon on the lunar lander.
And there he was just talking about how they were having trouble getting back to like the command center or whatever.
Well,
Like
that was on the ground. That was the Apollo 1. That was all done on the ground. They were in a test. They were just sitting in the test rocket. They weren't even. That
Yeah.
wasn't in the sky. And the reason why they, like in that thing, they said a wire got tripped. They don't even know what happened. But the capsule, they put 100% oxygen. You would never put 100% oxygen in that environment because it made it super flammable. So Gus Grissom's family, the guy that was screaming, they believe you got to look into Debra if you really want to look into some NASA, what's really going on. Look into Gus Grissom's family. And that's just a perfect example that shows you that's why Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, when Buzz Aldrin's mom killed himself, they were in the same program right behind Gus Grissom. They were the B team. They were studying, doing all this. They were taking notes, just like just like an actor has a study or whatever. They were studying.
JV.
Exactly. They're the junior varsity team. So they knew that, and then on top of that, this is the last thing. This is the last visual we're going to show. We're going to show the post-moon landing press conference. Now you're going to see these guys are more depressed than you've ever seen in your life. These guys just hold on, let me show you this meme first. Because there's a meme of, well, I'll just show you the video. But there's this is the NASA press conference, and they were more sad than anybody you've ever seen in your entire life. Look at all these. Let's see. Let's go here. And usually there's a pic of, like, let me go to team winning. Let me do the Super Bowl. I want to show you a picture of a team winning the Super Bowl. It's like people celebrating. I want to find this certain meme. Moon meme of astronauts versus winning. Let me see if this comes up real quick. I want to show you this meme. It always makes me laugh. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you this clip instead. We're going to watch this post-flight. Now, you got to think about these guys just came back from the most intense mission of all time. You know, their lives are on the line. This is the space race, and look how happy these guys are.
Approximately an hour longer to get ready then.
Oh, here, this isn't good. Hold on, moon landing post-flight, mad astronauts. Let's see if. So you got to look at these guys. They're just here, perfect.
I have two brief questions I'd like to ask, if I may. When you were carrying out that incredible moonwalk, did you find that the surface was equally firm anywhere, or were there harder and softer spots that you could detect? And secondly, when you looked up at the sky, could you actually see the stars and the solar corona in spite of the glare?
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the...
Look how mad. I'm just saying, look at these guys' face real quick. I mean, these guys just got back from landing on the moon. They should be up there exactly like a press conference like you won the Super Bowl. Oh, we did it. We're the champions. We got this, yada, 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 whatever. I mean, this is not how you'd expect them to be. I mean, you would not expect them to be like this, but let's just watch this short video.
At a time that we were photographing the solar corona, what stars we could see. I don't remember seeing any.
So you hear that? They can't even get their story straight if they saw any stars from the surface of the moon, which would be huge because at night you should be able to see the stars perfect. You should be able to see the stars bigger and brighter than we ever see them on Earth. And they can't even get their story straight if they even saw the stars because you just heard Buzz say that we could see him through the optics inside the lander. But yet Michael Collins said, hey, we were never able to see it, so...
Buzz
Very
Aldrin
awkward.
needs a drink.
He does need a drink.
He looks like he took too much ecstasy at a hippie festival over the weekend, and it's Sunday. He's got to pack up his tent.
Yeah, he's serotonin levels low.
People in many places have speculated on the meaning of this first landing on another body in space. Would each of you give us your estimate of what is the meaning of this to all of us?
Oh my God, he looks bored and...
Looks like he's really annoyed to be there.
You want to try that? After you.
They don't want to answer on the questions. They don't want to say something wrong.
Uh-huh, yeah.
They're afraid to death. They're scared to death.
Was Werner von Braun still alive?
Appreciate it very much.
Yes.
Okay.
Remain seated so the crew could leave. They want to be at the luncheon at 1 o'clock, just slightly ahead of you. Thank you very much.
Wow.
So they put a cap on it early, huh?
Yes. So, I mean, I know that's whatever kind of evidence, people sat at a press conference, but you just got to look at anybody winning like a championship or anything of significance, and they're ecstatic. Those guys should have been celebrating. They should have been spraying each other with champagne, but instead they're sitting there scared to death to answer these questions that they know they're going to get from the press because obviously NASA told them, they have MK Ultra meetings or whatever. They sit down, you got to say this. And they might have, I actually believe that it would be possible that they could actually put these guys through some sort of simulation where they think they went really high to the moon or something. I mean, I wouldn't even put that past them for them to, because that's like in there's been movies where that's how they faked it. They actually tricked the astronauts into thinking they actually went. So when they asked them these questions, they spoke genuine. But they're just so ingenuine with that press conference. And then we go back to the phone, how there's basically a no delay, and he's talking on a landline to the moon. Yet Gus Grissom, the head astronaut that was supposed to go to the moon, is talking about how they can't even talk between 2 or 3 buildings. In about a year, they figured out how to talk to the moon.
Maybe
But
they had just told him that they didn't go and they thought they did, and that's why Buzz Aldrin looks so mad. I mean, he looks like me when I'm being passive aggressive towards my wife and don't want to talk.
Exactly, very passive aggressive, and you know, I'm just saying I'm not a body language expert. But
do you
don't have
have that footage of what he tells from Level when he tells the little girl that we didn't go to the moon?
Oh yeah, here I'll find that. I can pull that up right now. Okay.
Debra sent me the link to that movie.
Young girl didn't.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did you like it? Did you watch it, Deborah?
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. Okay, hold on. Let me screen share
Why
this.
has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
Okay. Oh, let me transition.
He's got a jacket with Buzz on it.
Let's see.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going. But I think I know. Because we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's, like I said, this is not, this evidence, you have to be able to look at it and decide for yourself. But that's a lot of stuff with life, because they're not going to tell you the straight facts. But with all this circumstantial evidence, it's hard for me to believe that they're able to go to the moon when the main thing, I know I didn't explain it that great, but their inverse square law of light. I'm just telling you how bright the moon is. You need to look at it when it's at its full cycle, when it's just shining so bright. And you can see, if you look at the moonlight off of water, I mean, it almost casts a moonlight like a sun does off water, kind of. I mean, it's different than the sun, but I'm just saying it has the power, very powerful light. And their footage from the moon, they were supposedly there in the sunlight, and that's why they couldn't see the stars, is what they tell us. So the idea that the sun was reflecting all full of light, I mean, that the moon was reflecting the sun's full light at the time of them being on the actual moon, it's just impossible. They would have been literally standing on an LED light bulb.
Yeah, and then there's that footage too of where they're trying to film the Earth to look like a sphere, and they're just doing it out the window of the whatever they're in to make it look like a ball.
Yeah, that's the Bart Sibrel here. Let's see. I don't even want to pull up that, but Bart Sibrel, he's not a flat earther. He's actually anti-flat earth. He made a movie.
He got punched in the face by Buzz Aldrin.
Yes, he did, and I like his work. So I don't want to hate on Bart. Bart that much, but he got this footage that somebody sent him from NASA where it looks like they're putting a transparency over a window of some sort of high altitude plane or something, so that they can make it look, and they shoot from a camera inside of it, and they're high enough where it looks like they're looking at a round Earth. And he has footage of the transparency getting bigger and smaller.
Why did Buzz Aldrin punch him?
Because he
Let me show you.
kept
Confronted him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if I play that clip, Bart will probably give me a copyright strike. He
made this movie called, what's it called? A Strange Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon.
This is a great movie. You need to watch
you should
that.
watch it, Deborah. It's like 45 minutes long. It's on. It's kind of hard to find on YouTube, but it's there. There's
you need to watch this
versions.
This movie, American Moon, is an awesome one.
Oh yeah.
Let me put this in the chat.
They had that guy on Union of the Unwanted.
Yes, this guy is awesome, and he's not a flat earther. Like, he's just a moon guy. Let me put this in the chat of the show. Everybody needs, and I've done this one before, but this movie is the quintessential, and it's a professionally done movie. It's not just some alcoholic YouTuber like
So what was the name of the second movie?
American Moon.
American Moon. I just put it. American Moon. I put it in our chat too. So everybody needs to go watch this documentary. It's like and so Union of the Unwanted had him on, Adam.
Yeah. He's like an Italian guy.
I saw y'all did it. Y'all did a cast with. Did you go on Union of the Unwanted? Is that right? Did you guys do it?
I went on once a long time ago, but it was like the one about like alternate tech. So I just kind of sat there and like watched.
Who knows?
I didn't really get to talk. I don't talk much except for on this show. So it was cool. Yeah.
I was on there one time and I talked a little bit, but you know how it's hard to talk when there's 7 or 8 people on there.
Yeah, they asked me once to go like on the Sam said I could come on the Bigfoot one, and I was just like they're having like all these like really intelligent experts on the subject. I'm just like, oh, I live in Oregon, I kind of know about Bigfoot, but I didn't want to go on and just like sit there and not have anything to say and look like an idiot. So
I know it feels like a anxiety, a lot of pressure kind of on that show, but it's not.
Yeah,
but it
it's
feels
all these
like
people that I've looked up to for a long time, and so.
But the Bigfoot thing, let's talk about that a little bit, because some guy wanted me to go on a debate, and I believe there's probably some sort of creatures in the woods that we don't have any idea about. But what were they like? What do you think about Bigfoot? What's your opinion of him, Adam?
He exists.
He does. Okay, he does.
Yeah.
But is okay. And what does he do? Did you say they, Deborah?
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of Bigfoots. Okay. See, I like that.
How can there be one?
There can't be
one.
one.
Who knows if it's male or female? So you have to say
there's not
they.
one. That's what I'm saying. There's not just one.
They.
I like that. That's the proper. Is that the proper pronoun?
Yes. Yeah, because you don't know if it's male or female. So.
Yeah, they're from Oregon. You gotta make sure.
You have to make sure. Is that where they say that the Bigfoot is in Oregon? Is that where the original photo is
Pacific
from?
Northwest, like from Northern California up the Emerald Triangle where they grow all the weed all the way up to Canada, but there's different versions of them all over.
Yeah.
There's like a southern one and a midwestern
Florida.
one. I think there's stuff
I
in
know
Texas.
there's I've heard Florida versions, but do you think Bigfoot smokes weed?
That's just some big fat hairy Floridian man.
That's what
wandering around in the woods.
Yeah, the Florida is so wild. It's probably just some guy, like some ex-crystal meth dealer that's just trying to hang out for a spring break. But tell me this. So wait. But he's in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah, I know that's like the weed triangle. But I'm serious. Do you think he would eat marijuana? Like if he saw random in a field like marijuana, do you think Bigfoot would eat the marijuana, or do you think he's only a carnivore, or do they know if he's a herbivore as well?
I think he's an omnivore. I think
he's everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I thought he would be a carnivore because he eats like animal. He like as a hunter. But I guess that would make sense that he'd be like an omnivore.
Did you watch that? Did you watch that little thing on Hulu?
I started it. I have not finished it, but I started it. Yes.
It was really good, and then it just ended, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So they just released the first 3 episodes all at once, and now they're gonna make us wait for everything else. And I was like, I waited like a week, and I was like, "Oh, when's the next episode coming out? It's not out yet." And then I looked it up online, and they're like, "What was it called? Sasquatch?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like Sasquatch is a 3-part documentary series on Hulu, and I was like, "Oh, that was the end."
Yeah, it's like ghost hunting shows, Adam.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Never get a good ending.
Yeah, but did you guys watch the Son of Sam thing on Netflix?
Yes.
That's like the best thing I've ever seen on Netflix. It was incredible, I thought.
Well, I love that. I love that story, Deborah. Wait. Tell me the Son of Sam. What's the Netflix thing about it, though? Is it a movie? Is it like a
documentary
recreation?
that he did? He was not a solo. There was
it's crazy,
whole...
Alex. You got to watch it. It gets into the whole thing. Like he did not act alone. There was a whole network, a death cult, a satanic death cult that was throughout the whole United States that went back to the Manson family. It's crazy. You got to watch it.
I'm gonna watch it tonight. Good. Wait, because that
binge it, dude.
Well, is it one part? Is it multiple parts?
It's like 4 or 5 parts, like all an hour long.
Well, that's another thing, Deborah. Have you guys you need to do one where you have somebody that knows, well, I'm sure you've probably talked about, like satanic ritualistic abuse is real, Deborah. I mean, there's supposedly like Jimmy Savile, a guy out of the UK.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's what they said, that they would do like satanic rituals. And these people, if you look at Hillary Clinton's leaked emails, and she talks about sacrificing a chicken to Moloch. And Moloch is a Babylonian, Babylonic, devilish creature. So there is some sort of satanic LARPing, live action role playing, whatever you want to call it, where they love to talk about the devil and they love to do what is called spirit cooking, which is like devil rituals. It's very weird when you get into that. So the a Son of Sam documentary talking about some sort of satanic cult, I think that's possible because those people, like, that's what they deal in. They deal in black magic.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, ask your viewers about it. I might be getting it totally wrong, and then it might be total BS. But I mean, all these other like conspiracy documentaries that come out on Netflix, like the Epstein one was absolutely horrible. This
Terrible.
one was incredibly good. Like I thought so. So it centers around this this author. I forget his name, but he wrote this book called The Ultimate Evil, right, Deborah?
Yeah,
And
I think
he like just got obsessed with the case and researched it from the time of him working like as a freelance journalist in New York City during the time that the murders were happening in New York, like all the way into the 80s. But then he got kind of caught up in going on like all those sensational 80s talk shows like Don
Jesse,
and
yeah.
Geraldo
Satanic Panic.
Yeah, it got kind of lumped into there. Who's Morton Downey? He's on Morton Downey Jr. a whole bunch and stuff like that. You kind of remind me of Morton Downey Jr. a little bit, man.
Morton Downey Jr. Is that Robert Downey Jr.'s dad?
Is it his dad? Is it somebody? They got to be related somehow.
Morton Downey Jr. Hold on, let me see.
And I say that because I like Morton Downey Jr. a lot. So.
I do act like Morton Downey Jr. for sure. That's funny. He's been in so many movies.
You gotta start smoking cigarettes on your streams because he would smoke during the show. It's crazy that wasn't even that long ago because I remember watching that as a little kid and people were smoking on TV back then.
Was he the guy with the big teeth?
Yes. Let me show you. Let's do a screen share. I'm showing him. This is so funny. Morton Downey Jr. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
He was in a lot of movies too. Look at his teeth. That's without his implants, and that's not a very good picture.
There.
See that?
Now he's got chompers.
He's got those dentures.
Yeah.
Those are dentures, chompers. Those are chomping it up. Look at it. I am like Morton Downey. I would literally do it. Oh my gosh, dude. This is me. I'm Morton Downey Jr. reincarnated. Hopefully. All those cigarettes, dude. I quit smoking years ago. Gosh, maybe I have to pick it back up. I didn't think it was that cool, but he looks pretty cool smoking on his show like that. Like if I had a cig right now, that'd be cool. But I'd have to change my backdrop. I'd have to make it look like I was like at a 70s.
Yeah, you gotta make
like
it
a 70s
like
talk show.
You should put it like the Jerry Springer set as your background.
That's what I can do. I can make it. I'll mock that up, and I'll just be ripping cigarettes. That's the last thing I need to do. Cigarettes are terrible. Actually,
well, we don't want you to smoke. We need you around for a little bit. You got a great voice.
Well, Adam, man, that makes me feel good. But let me tell you something. I was dipping tobacco, and about this past year, I quit. I totally went cold turkey. Dude, that withdrawing from that nicotine and that tobacco was some of the worst. Do you smoke cigarettes, Deborah or Adam?
I used to.
I used to go back and forth. I'd smoke, and I'd be like, I gotta quit smoking. I'm back at the jiu-jitsu gym, so I'd start chewing. And I'd take a break from jiu-jitsu.
You chewed also? I
started chewing on the JV football bus when I was 14 years old.
That's what we'd chew on the football bus, Adam. Yeah, on the back of the bus.
One time I was on the JV football team, and our team was the JV team had like 60 guys on it. The varsity team only had like 20. So like I had to go ride on the varsity bus, and they thought it'd be fun to like give the little I was the smallest guy on the team. They're like, oh, let's give Adam some skull, and they thought they were gonna make me throw up, and I handled it like a fucking Texan, and
no problem.
Hooked. And then I was a wildland firefighter for the U.S. Forest Service for a long time. I'd shoot a can of skull a day, and then after a while skull would start giving me heartburn, so I'd chew Copenhagen, and then I'd go back to skull, I'd switch it all up. I'd smoke buglers, I'd smoke Camel non-filters, all that stuff. But I'm clean now all the way.
Adam, wow. 'Cause me too. Can you believe that? I used to dip. Now, I probably wouldn't do like a whole can a day, but I mean, sometimes. But that skull, it's funny you said it gave you heartburn from like the flavoring. Would you do skull straight? Why do you think it'd give you the heartburn from the spitting so much?
I I think something to do with the flavoring in Skull would give me heartburn. So I'd switch and I'd go to Copenhagen, and sometimes Copenhagen would burn my lip too much, so I'd put it up on the top.
I did that too. See, I always
And
did
when
the
you put it on the
pouches.
top, you don't have to spit.
You just
Well,
swallow.
No,
Yeah,
it doesn't like your salivary glands on the bottom or whatever. So like that makes you spit. You put it on the top, it just stays dry pretty much, but it stays in there.
Wow,
Gross.
dude,
It's
you
a
know
gross
you're
habit.
a dipper when you're going upper deck. You're going
Yeah.
upper deck to put in your dip. And I did that too because I heard it. And I used to just dip normal, but like when I kind of got older and I re-dipped again, I would do the pouches. And those things are really dangerous. Obviously you're not worried about that, Debra, but don't dip those pouches because they're just a little cleaner and easier. And those are even more addicting. I'm telling you, I went through a serious withdrawal. I was sick for about 3 weeks. I wasn't even craving it. I just didn't feel good. I was like hacking up stuff. And that's the only thing I think that made me sick. Obviously, there's a sickness going around, but I'm just telling you, it was not fun. How was your experience, Adam? Did you do cold turkey or did you wean yourself off?
Yeah, I was smoking cigarettes at work a lot. I was in the Ironworkers Union, and I was able to smoke at work. So I was doing that a lot, and I was just feeling bad. So I was like, all right, I went and I bought a can of Skull Straight, and I was like, I'll use this to stop smoking. I'm done with it for good. And I just quit. I never opened the can of chew. Nothing since. That was like 6-7 years ago.
Wait, let's go back. What do you mean you're an iron worker? You could smoke on the job. So you're just ripping cigs? Like, what does that even explain that? I mean, every
you
job
work outside, you're like working on an unfinished building a lot of the time.
I see. So you can just smoke it. You're outside all the time. That's why you can smoke. Because I'm like, I know a lot of people at car lots that smoke all day. I mean, I know people.
Yeah.
Everybody. I feel like every
Dude.
job is a smoking job. I mean,
A used car salesman always stinks like cigarettes, man.
of course, that's what I'm saying. It's terrible. I mean, I know. And there's a guy that is like a custom home builder guy, but he has a secretary, and we call her Smoke Break because she takes a smoke break. I mean, that's what we call her, Smoke Break. She's the upper office. She's always downstairs smoking. I mean, it's like she's smoking more cigarettes than she's doing work. I swear to God, she's smoking more cigarettes than she's working. But God bless her soul. He's a really cool guy. He didn't care if she ripped cigarettes. But I mean, it's a good habit to end. But speaking of cigarettes, it's sad. They smoked Gus Grissom like a cigarette, and that is really sad because his family.
Oh.
I know, and I'm not trying to be insensitive, but his family is the number one proponent of he was killed. And the only reason that they would have ever killed Gus Grissom because he was such a decorated. Oh, that's another thing, is I believe in a lot of like the social engineering. They can't just straight up, kill you. They kind of have to trick you into killing yourself, basically. Except if you're like ex-military, like they don't mind having a war. They don't care if they go in Iraq and drone strike somebody because they think, oh, those are war games. So what I'm saying is, a person like Gus Grissom, even though he's a good guy, a family guy, because he's a military asset, he's expendable. And all these guys are expendable, and they know that. And sometimes they have to take somebody out to send a message. So it's like I keep going back to Gus Grissom. That was for me. You really dive into that guy and how good of a guy, family man, and how he's an outstanding pilot. Didn't deserve to die that way, and his last words were literally criticizing NASA. It's just so heartbreaking. And it just shows you NASA's, they can't talk between 2 or 3 buildings. They didn't talk to a rock floating through space 237,000 miles away, supposedly.
Yeah. Yeah. That one's, it's open and shut case for me to whether I believe it or not. Debra, where are you with it right now?
Well,
imagine none of your friends are listening. You're in a safe space.
I believe it. I believe it.
Oh, what's that supposed to mean?
I believe that it
Oh, you
was
believe that
a hoax.
Okay, good. I thought you meant you
did-
believed that nobody
No.
was listening.
No.
Debra, my
That's
queen!
it.
Debra, my queen, I love you. So, but I think, Debra, you cheated at him because you've woken her up so much and you gave her that app. And I think Deborah's pretty hip. She probably realizes we're not on a flying water ball. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying. So I think
that's a tough one for me. The flat Earth thing is really tough.
Well, listen, let me help you with it. I don't know the shape of the Earth. I don't believe the shape of the Earth to be flat necessarily. I think it's over long bodies of water like Lake Michigan. You can see, the shore of Chicago, which should be hidden over buildings. So that, like Lake Michigan, will lay flat, which is a large body of water. But there's hills, there's valleys. Don't think of the Earth as flat. I think the best way to think of it, of our universe, don't worry about what the shape of it is. You have to think about it like this. There's the heliocentric model. where they use the sun as the center of the universe. What really all you need to do is just change it to where we are a geocentrist model, where we are the center of the universe and the sun, moon, and stars rotate around us, because that's what our senses tell us. I mean, literally, when you see the sun rise, you see it go up. When you see the sun set, you see it go down. So from all of our perspectives, it is a geocentric world. They tell you this lie, this other stuff in this heliocentric thing. But if you didn't know that, if you were just going off what you were told, that is what you would think. So listen, you can say that we're on a spinning water ball, but right now there's nobody bending 12,500 miles away from me that's upside down, sitting on the other side of a ball. It's just absolutely absurd. And for me, another one is Marianas Trench. The deepest we can dig is 8 miles. That's Marianas Trench. Literally, that is the deepest we can go is 8 miles down. So I believe that's about as high as we can go up too, is 8 miles up. I know that's crazy, but that's how I describe the Earth, as a non-movable plane that we can go about 8 miles down and about 8 miles up. And other than that, I don't know, but that's my justification. Is it a bowl? Is it, does it have some circular to it? Yeah, I mean, there could be some circular nature to our reality, but the idea that it's on a spinning, bending water ball that's going 1,100 miles an hour, yeah, like I said, Polaris is in the same spot every single night. That's where you got to think. The geocentrism and the heliocentrism model is their biggest lie. So don't worry about the shape of the Earth. You try to really get into the fundamental machinations of the universe. I think that'll open you up. It's annoying. I sound like such a freaking nerd talking right now. I'm saying all these words. No, I swear I'm talking about the universe. I'm like, what a dummy. I mean, I'm not a dummy. This is serious stuff, and it's like, man, I would have never thought I would have a podcast talking about space a bunch. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm a comedian. I like to joke around. I like to talk about, truth. But I'm just so passionate about space because I never liked sci-fi. I was never into Star Trek. I was never into, and all that stuff's cool. Star Wars stuff. I wasn't into that. I was never a sci-fi guy. And now I'm thinking about space all the time. So, Debra, I love that you're open-minded. That's all it takes. You don't have to believe all this stuff, but the fact that you're actually willing to look at something with the eyes that God gave you to see. I mean, whether you're religious or not, I'm not religious, but somebody gave you these eyes. I'm happy that you're actually using them instead of being a sheep with your eyes closed and just following the leader. Like, you're a badass, Debra, no doubt. And Adam, you're a badass for having the cojones. How are you going to do this? How are you going to make your wife's mother-in-law come on the show? Is there not a bunch of family drama because you're waking her up to all this stuff, Adam? Like, what does your wife say? Is she awake to all this stuff?
Yeah, she
is
woke up.
Okay, good. I'm just saying because
there's another daughter that's probably not into what we're doing. So,
well, it's really there's
a little tension there, I think now.
Yeah. Yeah.
She probably thinks it's malicious, but it's really harmless to actually just look into like the nature of our reality instead of just taking the butcher's word for it. I mean, I'm a conspiracy nut, so it's easy for me because, like I said, I dabble in conspiracies. But like, it gives me hope when I see somebody like you, Debra. Just I would say, and I mean this, you're extraordinary. You're not ordinary, but you're a normal woman, mom, mother, and that's what's awesome, that you have the wherewithal and the mindset to actually look into this stuff. Because like my dad, I've woken up my dad to a lot of stuff, but he's still asleep. My mom, total flat earther, loves it, anti-space. So it's I think maybe, as a mother, you the motherly love in your heart is probably why you're more open to it and well receptive, because it's in your nature, it's in your genes.
No, I just, I've said this before. I can't see any harm in learning about stuff that you don't know anything about. Where is the harm in that? So that's my stance.
And that's why you're extraordinary, because that's a revolutionary opinion to have in 2021 Northern California Bay Area, So you are special. You're like a unicorn. I mean, especially where you are, you can't really have any sort of, and I don't think conspiracies, like, I'm not a conservative. I'm in the middle. I'm pro-gay. Gays get married. I mean, I don't really want, a bunch of tons of abortions, but there should be a limit, like a certain, I don't want a baby to get aborted after the, in the 5th trimester or whatever they try to bring it to.
But I'm just also not some staunch conservatives like, oh my gosh, MAGA. That's the stupidest shit ever. I hate that. That's pisses me off more. I like to find myself in the middle and not have identity politics. I don't want to identify with any political party because they are all garbage and all politicians are garbage.
A geocentrist.
I'm a geocentrist, a political centrist. I'm a freaking a space investigator. That's what I am. I'm the space investigator. And one day,
you're like Magnum PI for space.
But for space. And one of these days, I'm going to find one of these astronauts and I'm going to get him on video confronting him, and it's going to go viral. I can't wait. I'm going to say, you're not going to space. Because that's another thing. The International Space Station, oh, give me a break.
You got to go get punched before Buzz Aldrin leaves this Earth.
That's a saying. I had to go get punched.
You're the guy to do it. If anybody can get punched in the face by Buzz Aldrin, it's you, Alex. I know you can do it.
I would love to get punched in the face. That would be
what
awesome.
If he just punched you in the stomach? That would be even better.
He can kick me in the genitals. I wouldn't mind. I would literally, as long as it got 500,000 views on YouTube, he can kick me.
I'll retweet it for sure.
That's what we got to do. Well, this has been an awesome show, Adam. We've really dialed it in. We've really talked about it all.
Yeah, this was a real treat, man. That we got to go live on your stuff too.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Had I known, I would have, fluffed up a little bit.
No, Debra, you're hip. Yeah, you look, honestly, Debra, I mean that, you're a very attractive lady. You have the very tortoiseshell glasses. I didn't even want to comment on your look.
Debra or Rachel Levine, who do you got?
Debra all day long is way prettier than Rachel Levine. But I'm just saying, I don't want to.
Debra.
That is saying a lot because I'm obsessed with Rachel Levine. She's my heart. But I'm saying you can tell Debra has the style and grace. She has the tortoise shell. She doesn't eat the McDonald's.
I just got these.
And they're beautiful.
Glasses.
They're great. And I'm saying she doesn't eat a bunch of garbage. She only eats the chicken skins of the McNuggets. She doesn't eat the whole McNuggets.
I don't eat the whole thing.
So I know she's in great physical shape, mental shape. She's woke. Debra, everybody, your daughter. And that's another thing. I can already tell. I don't even know your wife, but I know your wife's attractive because if she's anything like Debra, if she's Debra's spawn, then if she's 1/100th of Debra, she's going to be a very beautiful lady.
I got
a
beautiful daughter. I got two beautiful daughters. Yes.
Well, maybe I can meet the other one if she's single. I don't know. This is the dating castle. Maybe not. She's not into conspiracy. She probably wouldn't like me that much. But what did somebody said in the chat? Alex punked out on flat Earth. I don't know. I think we've talked about flat Earth this whole thing. I don't know why that's funny that somebody said that in the chat. But Debra, it's a pleasure to meet you. Adam,
very
it's a pleasure
nice to meet you too.
Yeah,
this has
I'm
been
so
really
happy
fun.
We got to do this, man. So yeah.
But before you go, guys,
fun.
everybody, and Debra, I put the link, Debra Gets Red Pilled, to the YouTube channel. I want everybody to click that description right now, and let me put it in the chat too, one time. Everybody, go click it. He's at 438. We got to get it up to 1,000 subs. There's 200 of y'all watching this. Let me put the link. You guys can give it a freaking like. Let me go back to where it was. I just watched subs. There's 200. Okay, go to the channel. Please go give Debra Gets Red Pilled a subscription. It is it's in the chat as well. Actually, I gotta freaking do this. Let me do this. And what a great show. So Debra, you are on the side. You think it was a hoax?
Yeah.
We did our job. You did the job, Alex.
Adam, you were like, I was like Karl Malone, and you were like Scottie Pippen. You were just feeding me assists, so I couldn't have done it.
John says John Stockton.
What did I say?
Or you said Scottie Pippen.
All right. I said, yeah, that's what I mean.
We gotta go John Stockton or Jeff Hornacek.
Did I say Karl Malone and Scottie Pippen?
White guy.
I said Karl Malone and Scottie Pippen. You know what I meant? Karl Malone and John Stockton. God, you're smarter than me. I can't even. It's your beauty, Debra. I am thinking of. I can't. I swear, it's those tortoiseshell glasses.
John Stockton though did go to Gonzaga Jesuits. So.
What? I didn't even realize that. And Stockton was like, dude, he's probably in. I didn't realize John Stockton was a Jesuit like that.
Yeah, I'll be Jeff Hornacek.
Jeff Hornacek was awesome. He was the three-point machine, and he played in Orlando for a little bit too. Remember at the end of his career? I remember. Yeah. Is that? Wow.
The small white guys go to die. It's Orlando.
You know it's a good show when we talk about Jeff Hornacek. People are saying they sub. People are saying they're sub. So
what a good guys.
What a good show. Okay, I want to tell all y'all that are watching the show, thank you guys for watching Conspiracy Castle. Thank you, Debra and Adam. And guys, this will be on
Thank you, Alex.
all platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and I'll send you the link. And make sure, guys, to go give it a like, a subscription. Please go give Adam and Debra a follow because they're doing some awesome conspiratorial work, opening up other people's minds to the deceptions that we're living under. So anything else you guys want to say to my audience before we go?
No, just thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah.
We love you all, and Alex, you're the best. You're
thanks.
You're bringing
Thanks for
a
letting
lot of
us
fun
be on
to this whole dark world. And yeah, get a hold of us, guys. I'll answer every email and tell us who you want to hear and get us on your favorite shows too. We'd love to do it. So thank you, guys.
Yep.
Peace. What a great
All
show.
right.
I love you guys.